Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Baseline. We're really excited today to bring you a very special guest. Today we have Roni Weissman. She's not only an aspiring actress and writer, but someone who's embarking on an inspiring journey to pursue her passion of acting all the way from her homeland of Israel to the United States. So, Roni, thank you so much for being a part of us today and share your story.
Me.
Yeah, it's interesting to everybody out there that's always trying to pursue something greater in their life, and we're always looking for mentors or a way to kind of figure out a way to how does this person manage through this type of adversity, or I feel like I can't go on with this and maybe I should quit. And you're somebody that has not done any of those things and managed to be successful in one of the hardest industries I think out there to be successful in, which is a Hollywood actress. And so I wanted to congratulate you on your success with that. And
Thank
then
you.
wanted to kind of delve in how you were able to manage coming down here, and then some of the ins and outs, the highs and the lows in terms of your pursuing. Did you ever question yourself? These kind of different things as we go through. So I wanted to start kind of from the beginning, which was Israel. And what was your experience living in Israel? How was that? And
It was great. It's Israel is very similar to the United States in a lot of areas. I would say the biggest thing that is like a big change difference between Israel is the service, the military service. It's compulsory, so you have to go. It's mandatory. You have to go once you turn 18. So that's the major.
yeah, I was thinking about that because I know that about Israel, everybody has to serve, men and women both, and I kind of like the concept of that in a sense, because here in the United States, a lot of times when the country goes to war, it's really just the military that goes, or the people that volunteer, and the citizenry is not involved in the highs and lows and the good and bad that comes from the war. I don't know what, obviously good can come from war when people are losing their lives, of course. But in terms of that, I thought that's a really interesting difference between the United States and a lot of countries that do have compulsory militaries where everybody has to do that. What was your experience like in there?
It was very interesting. It definitely gave me a sense of responsibility and self-discipline. Um, it taught me in a way that if there is a mission to be accomplished, you just do the best you can to accomplish it. There's not much room for excuses when you're in the military.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
there's something you gotta get from point A to B. You're gonna get there.
I've heard that about the military. It's somewhat of an interesting experience because you're no longer with your parents anymore. Everything's very strict and regimented. And a lot of people who do martial arts, actually, they say is the byproduct of that is gaining confidence and a sense of self, or
Yeah.
self-respect. And I wonder if the military does the same thing, because it cuts you off from all the things that you used to know and forces you to do your best when you're most tired, or
Yeah.
to wake up when you least want to wake up. And that's an interesting discipline that I think might get taught. I have one friend of mine. He actually was, and this is decades ago when I was first going to school, out of high school, and he went to the military. And prior to him going to the military, he was a very disheveled guy.
Yeah.
Like, he was late all the time. He didn't dress well. He didn't comb his hair. He had long hair. All of this kind of stuff. And then 4 years later, after he came back, he's dressed in a suit, sharp, completely disciplined. So you feel like that was how? Well, obviously you probably were not disheveled as this guy was, but
Yeah. Well, I did cut my hair. um, it gave me I don't know if it will work. How do I say it? How do I explain it? So it takes a certain personality and a certain job title. Like, I was only supporting combat. I didn't have to go to combat, thank goodness.
yeah, yeah.
But I did have to look very respectable and very neat because of my job there. It did give me personally a lot of self-discipline. Like, it's like waking up to go to a job you don't want to go do, but you wake up and do it anyway. Or going to the gym, which you really don't want to do right now because it's late and you just want to watch TV and relax. But
that is a daily fight for me, just to go to that. Sometimes I just look in the mirror for 45 minutes, wondering how I'm going to get out the door to do it. But you're right. You have to have that willingness to do something you don't want to do, like you love it. And it's interesting that the military does kind of offer that in a way.
Yeah,
So
it did it for me. A lot of people I know, it's just like, oh, okay, I'm done. Now I want to live my own life the way I want to live them. And
yeah. What do you think some of the positive principles you learned from the military, in terms of the discipline and your self-confidence? How did that carry over into you pursuing the passion of acting?
well, the self-discipline, it's a big one. That I think that's the main one because I was always a little stubborn.
Yeah.
Um,
I was about to mention that because we had spoken off camera a little bit, and that term came up, the stubbornness part. But
yeah.
it's funny that trait. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, stubborn," but that actually is a very good trait because it makes you stay right down the narrow in terms of what you want to see for yourself in your own life, and you have to block out all those voices that are telling you, "No, you can't do it," or "No, this is too risky," or "No, everybody tries to do this. What's the chances that you can do this?"
Yeah.
And those are very hard voices to block out when you're trying to pursue something that's as big as being an actress. And so, I would wonder how that military service kind of played into that. But the discipline part, I could imagine being a huge part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But so, how far did you get into the military? Were you pursuing a big line of like in terms of your ranking or your levels, or what were you achieving once you were in there?
Funny you said that. I really wanted to be in a certain unit, doing a certain job that really interests me, but the downside, or not downside, I was pretty proud of it at the time, was you had to sign up to be a lieutenant, to be an officer.
Okay.
Higher rank, higher responsibility.
So you were a lieutenant.
I was a lieutenant.
Oh, goodness.
Never got to that job, but I was a lieutenant.
So I should have said LT Roni Weissman coming to the. Okay, I see how that goes. All right, but that's an amazing.
Salute me next time. Okay?
Yes, definitely next time I'll do that. But yeah, that's amazing. So when you were in Israel, did you act there as well, or did you just come here and pursue it right off the bat?
I acted there a little bit. I studied acting there, and I had a couple fun opportunities and scary opportunities.
Okay, we're gonna want to hear about the scary one.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I feel like something in me was just not. When you have a stew and it's not well cooked yet, like there's something missing and you don't know what. That's when I said, okay, I think I need to move to the United States and learn from the best teachers, best coaches, and just to do that. So I had a lot of fun opportunities there. But
okay, what was the scary opportunity? Which one was the one that scared you the most or gave you the most?
Oh,
yanks?
I have two.
Two of them. Okay, let's hear both.
Well, the first one was the movie Disengagement. It was my first ever acting work. And it was on a huge set by this big director whose name is Amos Gitai. He's very well known in Israel and actually in Europe too.
Yeah.
And my scenes were with Juliette Binoche, who's a huge actress. And I was so scared because I didn't know. I was never on a set. I was just in my first year in acting school. So I was terrified of that. And when
so was it like an intimidating type of terrifying?
Oh, yeah.
You guys are big professionals, and you have to be
big professionals, and I'm like this young rookie who doesn't have a single day on set.
See, this is what I like, because I can't imagine that anybody that's trying to pursue your line of work in terms of actress writing doesn't have that moment when they're in front of somebody that's like, oh, I can't be messing up in front of this guy, or I can't be messing up in front of this actress over here, or this director over here. Yeah. And so how did you manage that anxiety and do you still have some of that as you do auditions and pursue acting here?
Yeah. So first of all, the way I dealt with it on set, and yes, I do always have a little bit of anxiety of not being good enough, but that's my own battle. But on set, the producer Ilan Moskovich was such a saint, and he knew me, he liked me, and he was guiding me through. And he said, "Okay, now the sound guy is gonna put the sound on you, and this is the sound, and it's okay, you got this. It's okay if you improvise. Don't worry, you're great. You were hired for a reason. We trust you." And I'm like, "Okay." I did mess up a little bit, but you know what? It was okay.
Okay.
It went through okay.
All right. Well, I'm glad you said that because I'm kind of having that anxiety that you just described being here with you today. So I'm faking anything I'm doing right now. So what was the second most scary one that you were mentioning?
Oh, the second one, I was already, I think I was 26, and I got my first independent feature film, and I was the lead in it. And up until that point, I did some smaller roles, smaller projects, and I was getting a little more comfortable with those. But a feature film and one of the lead characters, that was so scary. I created. Oh, I wish I would brought that. I created this book with notes about how to do this scene and what should I feel here and what should I do there, which is such a rookie thing to do, but I was trying to prepare for it to be the best possible, so I'm not the reason that we're wasting time on set.
Sure. So that was a different type of anxiety than in relation to the one you had the first time. First time you were just with great people. And
I was just looking at all this huge equipment and all these people running around and everybody knows exactly what they're doing, and this one was, okay, all eyes are on me right now, and if there's an emotional scene and I have to bring it, I gotta bring it, and I was pushing it.
So the big actor and the scene, how were the actors and actresses towards you in terms of, were they gracious or were they a little bit more?
They were so amazing. Yeah.
What were the best parts about the people that you work with or the main actor?
So first of all, I got to talk for a few minutes with Juliette Binoche, and I told her this is my first time on set, and she looked at me and said, "Oh, that is wonderful! How wonderful!" She was very kind, very, very kind, and the other actors that I had scenes with were just, "Oh, you got this. Don't worry. It's like you and I were talking. This is you're just talking. You're just
very cool."
Yeah, they were very chill, and everybody were trying to kind of soothe me into it, and it worked.
Very cool.
Made me feel at home.
So did you ever have an instance now that you are seasoned and sagged and doing all these things where the roles were reversed, where somebody was brand new on a set and you had to kind of talk them through and make them more comfortable, or how did you approach that?
I would love to help someone. I didn't have that.
You're like, I'm doing it right now.
Listen, son, listen. Yeah, no, I still haven't had that opportunity to help somebody who's new. Everybody in LA is so talented and like, oh yeah, I did this and this and this. And I'm like, whoa.
Well, I appreciate you helping me. I'm brand new at all this stuff. And I appreciate how gracious you've been in doing this. Because, a lot of times when people reach your level of success, sometimes, they don't want to help somebody or somebody that's brand new, and legitimately so, right? Because they haven't established themselves or they haven't, and you've been so gracious in terms of being here, and I appreciate it. I think that says a lot about we use.
Oh wait, what about the check of $1 million?
Yeah, that was already hidden under the mail, so we'll see how that goes.
No.
So you had to battle a few voices other than your own mind in terms of your mom and dad. Were they a little bit resistant about you coming to the United States? Were they worried for you?
They were mostly worried. My mom was very supportive, and my dad was a little more. He has this analytical, logical perspective. Mm-hmm. He's a professor, actually.
Oh, what does he teach?
He's actually a gynecologist, but he does wait, I forgot the name of it. Endangered pregnancy. How do you say that?
Oh, okay, I know what you mean. I don't
Yeah.
know the
So
exact
he
term.
specializes in endangered pregnancies, something that is
Complicated. Yeah.
complicated, and he brings life to the world.
Oh, okay, that's something to be really proud of.
I'm very proud of him.
Yeah. So, what were his main concerns in terms of communicating? Like, hey, you shouldn't do this, or I'm worried about you doing this, or
Yeah, well, first of all, acting is not a stable career. You never know. Are you gonna succeed? Are you gonna make it? Are you gonna earn enough money to pay the bills? And or are you just gonna be? Because there's always this saying about artists that they're hungry all the time and they're poor, and it's I understand why. I understand why it's a hard industry. So he was very cautious about asking me, what if it doesn't work? I just want to make sure that you have a plan B. And I'm like, yeah, acting. And I'm like, what about plan B? Acting. See? Acting.
sometimes in order to be successful, you have to cut the safety net and just take that plunge and do that.
Yeah.
So at the end, he ended up being supportive, I would imagine, especially since you
Yeah.
established yourself pretty well.
Yeah.
But on your mother, on the other hand, was she on the same page as your dad, or was she a little more supportive? Or
She was they were both very supportive, but my dad just wanted the answers. He's more analytical. And I told him, listen, and this is for both my parents. My head is up in the sky, but my feet are on the ground. I will find a way to make a living out of it. I will find a way to, whenever you ride the wave and you book a lot of jobs, that's great. And I'll find a way to sustain myself when the wave is low and now it's resting time and recharge.
yeah. So did you ever battle, in particular, maybe your dad's voice inside your head when you came here, and then maybe things didn't go quite right, or there was something that stood in your way on one thing? Like, was there a moment where your head said, "Oh, maybe he was right," or were you always pretty much
All the time.
all the time?
Every day. Every day I have this question, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then immediately, oh, because I love it and I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
And
And so that's how you
pushes.
overcame the voice, is by saying, "This is
Yeah.
what I love to do. I'm going to pursue it, regardless of whoever is right or wrong."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I always ask myself, whenever these questions, these demons show up, I always ask, what would you do? What do you want to do? Okay, let's say you pack your bags, you go back home to Israel. What do you want to do? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing.
So it's something you feel like you're meant to do
Yeah.
in terms of being an actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing, to have to be able to control your mind in that way, because a lot of times some people have said that the human mind is not designed to make you happy. It's actually designed to create a perpetual state of anxiety and doubt, because you're always looking out for danger or the ability to survive. And that it's our conscious mind that is the one that has to get inside our mind and try to direct it towards the direction, much like a car, that you'd want to go. But it seems like you've done such an effective job of doing that. So you shut the voices out in your head, you hopped on a plane, and you came to the United States. Have you been to the United States prior to?
No.
So it was a brand new country, brand new culture, brand new currency, food, all of that stuff. And so one of the things that I've always found interesting about people who come from other countries, the immigrant story of,
Yeah.
I only had $25, $100 in my pocket, and I came with a dream to be a doctor, an actress, this or that or the other, or better life, whatever the case is. And when I played in my mind, I'm like, okay, if the roles were reversed and I had to go to a different country for off of a decision, or maybe I was forced, would I have the guts and the wherewithal to be able to go to another country and be successful, adopt the language, the culture, and all these things. And I do question myself on that. It's because it is one of the bravest things a person can do. So, in terms of coming over, and did you have any fear like that, where oh my gosh, I'm going to a different country, I don't really know anything, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you did have a plan coming in, or did you just come in and then start looking for work, or how did that all go for you?
So I did it in two short steps. The first step, I said, okay, I'm gonna go to the United States to learn in a certain acting school that I wanted to learn, to study acting, to see if I like it, if I can get around with the English, if I can act in a different language, because it's different, acting in a different language.
Did you know English before you came over?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But I worked on it. When I knew it was coming, I started watching more American TV shows and without subtitles, which was really hard
Yeah.
at first.
I heard a lot of immigrants that do come over, they learn English from, well, so I'm an 80s child. And so when people around my parents and they came and they had to learn English, they learned it from soap operas and watching TV that way. And I don't think there were subtitles back then on TV. So, but
Wow.
that's a really interesting way to pick up on the language. But
Yeah.
so when you came here, then I would assume that you had to pick up a few odd jobs or along the way, or how did you get your first job? And
So when I decided that I wanted to stay here, there was a point where I came back home for a little bit just to sort out, the visa issues, and not issues, but sort out a working visa and then come here. And when I landed here, I just started looking for anything related to the industry. And I found this incredible job. I was working with this guy, with this production company who owns fake cop cars and wardrobe for sets,
oh,
like cops and EMTs and all sorts of uniforms. So I was working with him, which is how I got to bump into Keanu Reeves.
oh, okay. So I know we were going to talk about that story.
Yeah.
So okay, let's delve into that. What happened with Keanu Reeves?
So I was driving a detective car, one of those really nice Crown Vics with the lights. Like, it looked really legit, like a detective car. And I was supposed to drop off the car on one set, but before that, to go over to a set where Keanu Reeves was supposed to be in and drop off a couple of uniforms. And as I arrived there, I'm kind of sneaking around. I'm like looking around crafty. I'm like, maybe I'll get to see Keanu Reeves because I really like him. He's such a good person. And I noticed that everybody on set were kind of antsy and like. And I said, you know what? Let me just like go drive the car to the other set because it feels like maybe they're a little tight on schedule. I don't know. Something didn't feel right. 2 minutes into driving, I see Keanu Reeves on the side of the road with his motorcycle stuck. And I'm like, I think that's Keanu Reeves. And I flipped the most illegal Huey in the world. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that on camera. But I said I was in a detective car. Who's going to pull me over? And I pulled over, got out of the car, and I go to him and I say, excuse me, Mr. Reeves, are you lost? And he looks at me, as a matter of fact, yes. Are you trying to get to the set of Swedish Detectives? Yes.
So how did you know that?
Yeah, so I told him that I was working with the set and he can just follow me. And the whole ride, I'm like, use the blinkers, be really nice, don't pull the brakes too hard.
Yeah.
You gotta protect this man.
I heard that, like, you hear so many different stories about different Hollywood personalities, and that's got to be difficult too, to be in the public eye and have a constant amount of scrutiny,
Yeah.
especially at the level that he's probably at.
Yeah,
But
I was
he's,
trying to be very professional and very cautious.
well, what's like with the acting school? I think, did you mention that you did an acting school over here, or did you do all your education in Israel in terms of acting?
Both. I will continue studying until I die, I think. I don't think this art form is something that you can just master to a level that you can't learn anything additional. I feel like this art form is something that you can always get better and find new things and new techniques and new keys to how to get to that point and how to do this. And
Yeah. One
yeah,
of the interesting quotes I think that you made when we were off camera was like, "You're not sure you're the best, but you strive to be every
yeah.
day."
I'm sure I'm not the best. I'm not the best actress out there. But I do strive to be, so I will work on it as
Yeah.
much as I can.
It's interesting the concept of wanting to be the best at any one thing, and especially when it comes to acting, because it's. Uh, I think the actors and actresses always bring something about themselves that's very individually unique. So I guess
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, to be the best actor or actress" would be kind of a relative or subjective a view of things. But so if I were to ask you an actress or an actor that you thought was the best or near the top of what you would aspire to want to be, which one would you say that?
Oh gosh, there's so many, and they keep flipping in my head. But I really love Viola Davis.
Okay.
I love that she is so powerful and still. I love her stillness. You just point a camera at this woman, and it's some magic is gonna happen there. I always appreciated and loved Sandra Bullock because of two things. She always tries to get better. Like after her success, after Speed, I think she
Oh
became
yeah,
this
yeah.
huge actress. But she kept on working and getting better and better, and she doesn't take herself too seriously. Like she won the Worst Actress Award, the Grazia
Oh
Awards,
gosh.
and a day later she picked up a Oscar. I think it was it for
Gravity, The
Gravity
Blind Side, maybe.
or Blindside? Yeah,
Yeah, it could have
so
been one of those.
yeah, so one of those. So she's the only actress who will go to the Grazia Awards and say, "I want to thank to the worst movie I've ever done. I will put this right next to the Oscar that she literally took a day later." And it was so cool, and I love that. It shows some level of like she's human.
Yeah. So with like Viola Davis, and you mentioned her strength or her presence on cameras, like is that a technique you feel that she has, or do you think that's something that's intrinsically part of who she is?
I feel
And
like that's who she is.
okay, so if you were to try to pick up on how she acts, uh, is there something you take from her acting that you apply in terms of how you pursue your acting or what you do on camera?
Um, I still haven't figured out how she does what she does. I think it's also
It's hard to
something.
reverse engineer somebody, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's also very personal because she draws from her own life and she has her own intensity, and I have my own. I know that I'm a little more fragile, but this is the quality that I bring to the camera. Um, and I'm trying to be very honest and very raw, not push and not prettify. Like, I don't care about being pretty on camera. Of course, it's fun to be pretty on camera, but I want to be real on camera.
Yeah. I would imagine acting is somewhat difficult in terms of the fact that there are different techniques and principles that people have to use. But at the same time, there must be something that you have to bring out that's intrinsically you
Hmm.
in order to make it all kind of work. How does a actor or actress do that, or how do you do that?
I first try to let it, when I read the script, I let it sit with me. Like, what, what happened? How did it make me feel when I read it? Because words can be very, very powerful. Like, there are scripts that just by reading them, my heart is like breaking in two. And the reason that works is because you manage to connect to what happened to that character. So if me as Ronnie connected to that character and what happened to her, then how do I add the character now to it? That's for me, that's kind of how much of Ronnie do I put in and how much of the character do I put in. So that's kind of a balance that I'm still
So do you have to draw from a personal experience in terms of relating to the character that you're trying to play?
Sometimes
Yeah.
some scenes that don't hit me the right way that they should hit, or I don't know, need to hit.
And also, I wanted to ask you about the different techniques. There's, like method acting,
Yeah.
different types of, what type of acting uh, or school of acting do you prescribe to?
Well, when I moved here, I got very lucky to study with Sandy Marshall, who she's not teaching anymore, unfortunately, but she taught a version of Meisner technique. What I really liked about her classes is that just before every class, before we would start working on our scenes, we would do repetition, which forces you to listen to the other actor. So you go on stage and it forces you to be very precise about how this person makes you feel. Like, what are you making me feel right now? And I would say a word like nervous, and you would repeat that. And what does that inflict on you when I said that you make me nervous? Like, how does this make you feel in one word?
It would make me feel, I don't know if guilty is the right word, but
Guilty.
like, how did I make you nervous? Or how can I make you feel better or more comfortable instead of
So
nervous?
yeah, so you have to like put it all in one word, and then this beautiful thing happens. Like, there's a connection being formed between the two of us, and it could go anywhere. Like, it could be like pissed off, like I don't like you, or it can go everywhere. I'm not pissed off. I do like you.
I'm like, oh. What did I do?
Just making sure.
Yeah.
So what I like about this method is that it forces me to be very precise about how I'm feeling right now.
So the method is really surrounded around trying to come up with one word or one way to describe how you're reacting to a particular situation.
Acting is reacting, and this
Okay.
is something that I really, really like. It's really something that, and if the other actor is a wall and I can't act to that, then yes, I will draw from my imagination or from a memory or from something that affects me from my life.
Are there any other principles from the Meissner technique that you grasp onto other than honing down that one word to?
Well, it's the listening. It's mostly just listen to the other actor, how he says what he says, or she.
Yeah. That seems like an interesting technique just in terms of regular life with friendships or relationships or parents or whatever the case may be, just to be able to sit down, not speak, listen, try to analyze a way of being able to react to a particular emotion.
Yeah.
That's a kind of a life skill set, as it might turn out.
It's great. It's great. It makes you understand, like, oh, why am I feeling depressed right now? Like, how do I solve this? How do I make me feel better? How do I operate this mechanism called being a human?
So how we interact with each other, where we're going as a society, all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting to see actors and actresses or movies and how they kind of reflect where a society or culture is at in that moment in time. Like, you've not only done writing and acting, but you also started your own YouTube channels. And what's your experience been with that?
It's been amazing experience when the pandemic started and everything shut down. I was feeling very down like everybody else, and like, oh no, my career is over. Like, just when things are starting to get better, everything shuts down. So I said, instead of just going down spiraling, let me do something related to acting, and let's do something that scares me. And I was very comfortable doing drama, but I was never comfortable doing comedy. So I just decided, let me do some comedy. What's my favorite show? Friends, right now, because it makes me feel good and makes me laugh. So I tried to copy kind of that concept into my channel.
So that's what I find interesting about you, is that during adverse moments like the pandemic, or when nothing else is going on, you still found a way to be proactive. And I wonder where that comes from. I know that's a complicated question to ask, but I think for a lot of people, when there's a roadblock, there's an instinct to not want to continue or to say,
Yeah.
oh, this is not for me. And how is it that you developed a mentality where when the rest of the world is quarantining themselves or somewhat frightened, you've managed a way to be proactive?
Yeah.
And I know that's a hard question to ask or to how to answer that, but
Yeah, it's I don't. It could be well. Hey, I'm okay. Wait, let me sort out my thoughts. I think it's my stubbornness that I'm not giving up. I came here to do something. I'm gonna do it. It's a mission to complete, and also the passion. I'm just too passionate to give something up because the world is shutting down, especially when we have phone cameras that can record 8K or I don't know how many Ks they're recording nowadays, but it's just insane to me that we have all this technology at the palms of our hands
yeah.
and we can just do whatever we want.
That is really an amazing. We are an amazing time, and and I think we're entering that too. I mean, even with, I mean, we're in a moment of adversity, or at least I think you specifically are as a SAG actress, sorry,
Right.
because you guys are still in the middle of the strike.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on the strike, and what do you think the main issues are that need to get resolved? And I know AI is a part of that, and our
Yes.
technology. That's one of the parts that I thought was interesting, as you mentioned, that part of we can do anything we want now.
Yeah.
But what's your opinion on the strike?
Well needed. Very well needed. I did not read all the contracts that were being negotiated, so I'm not. I don't know if I can answer any of that. But I know it's been long due, especially for the writers. I'm so happy that they started it and we kind of joined in because they're really not getting paid a lot. And it was amazing to me. I thought it was only actors, like, you know, in my levels and smaller levels and even bigger levels. But I had no idea that an actor who has been on 40 episodes of a show gets a residual check of 40 cents. And I get that usage kind of drops down as
Sure.
the season, you know, because it's been, I don't know, if the first season aired 10 years ago, sure, I'm not expecting you to get like $500 as residuals, but it needs to be corrected. So if the studios make almost the same amount of money, so should the actors. So should the face that is out there representing you.
Sure.
Should get that.
I think there's a common misconception too, that from the public's point of view, where they're seeing the strike and it's comes off from a layman's point of view, or somebody that's not understanding everything that's going on, that, oh, these Hollywood elites, these big actors, now they want more. But that's not really the case. We're talking about you know, a small percentage that make that type of money.
So small.
Yeah.
The big names, of course, they have all the money and they don't have the worry, and their agents are able to negotiate these terms for them.
Sure.
But where you're just starting out, and I'm in SAG, so I have the union protecting me.
Sure.
You know what's going on at the non-union world?
Yeah. And even within the union world, I would imagine that there's probably a large percentage of the actors, actresses, writers that don't get paid on the level of a Brad Pitt or, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, these kind of big names. So,
and again, yeah, and I don't think anybody should get paid so much money. Like this industry would die if that's the case.
Yeah.
And that's not what we're trying to negotiate for.
Sure.
We're just trying to negotiate for a fair amount, something fair, something livable. There's this AI situation
that's the one that's interesting to me, just in terms of not only as it pertains to your career, your line of work, but just us as a species. Because, you know, there
Yeah.
have been a lot of big names that have said, I think Elon Musk might have been one of them that said AI has the potential to, destroy humanity in a
Yeah.
sense. And I wonder how aware or unaware we are as a society of that happening. And it seems to be now bleeding over into, oh,
Yeah.
look, now they're doing this, the movies and all these actresses and actresses that
Yeah.
have this passion, and then they're going to use those likenesses. And is that necessarily fair to do that? And uh,
No, no, nope, it's not. It's
yeah,
not good.
so
We've all seen the commercials that AI is doing, so
yeah.
thankfully we're still kind of far from it.
Yeah, I think I heard one distasteful comment coming from one of the one of the people that are opposing the strike, or saying, "Oh, we'll just let them lose their houses, and then they'll just." And I thought that was really telling in terms of, where's everybody's humanity or caring for one
Yeah,
another, or as an industry to be able to collectively work
yeah,
towards a better good. So I thought that was sad to hear that, but
yeah, it's pretty sad to hear.
so.
Especially when, you know, you want the people that actually make you that money to you want them to be homeless. That's very distasteful.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
very
amazingly,
disrespectful.
yeah, and it's such a bad stain. I don't want to say as a culture as a whole, but it it does make you wonder, like, oh, what is it in our society where somebody can so openly say something like that, to not care
Yeah.
about their, like, anybody can have an argument and say, okay, we're going to negotiate, or this is that and this is, but to go to that level, I thought was
Too much.
tough to hear. Yeah, for
Too
sure.
much. Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to your proactivity, you're in the pandemic now, and you've managed now to make these YouTube channels. One of the things that I thought was really interesting in terms of what you said is, as it pertains to YouTube at least, and I think it probably pertains also to being an actor and actress as well, is how much people are thirsting for honesty or authenticity in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering how you managed to convey that in your YouTube, in your acting, how you convey honesty or authenticity.
Mm. So with the comedy channel, I would call it less honest. It's more, I don't know, it's like the TV show Friends, I would say. Like, I wish it was. It's not that great, but some of it is pretty great, but.
It
Uh,
doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to get
yes,
going, and
yeah.
then yeah.
The other channel that I opened up, funny enough, it's a reaction channel. And I just try to listen, practicing this Meisner technique that we spoke about, just practicing listening. What is this song that I'm listening to or video that I'm watching? What does it do to me? What is the voices that I'm hearing? How it makes me feel? And sometimes it makes me laugh. Sometimes I'm just like swooped over and like kind of let it take me away. Sometimes it makes me cry because it hit a certain nerve and I like talking about it.
Sure.
And people seem to be liking it.
So, if you contrast your reaction channel to the other channel that you have, which one do you see is getting more views, or which one do you feel is more successful?
The reaction channel is more successful. However, I would not be able to have done that without doing first the comedy channel.
Okay. So the comedy channel, you still have both channels running.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. And you feel that the reaction channel comes from a more honest place or authentic place, in your opinion.
Yeah.
And is that what you attribute the success to that channel being?
That and also realizing what the audience wants to see.
Yeah. And we'll for sure put the links to Roni's YouTube channels under this interview, so you guys will get to check her out. It's a great channel to watch, both of them. And so,
Thanks.
yeah, for sure. That is, I just, again, I thought that was just a really interesting comment. And now that I think about it in terms of who I watch on TV and or on YouTube, it's usually the ones that just talk so openly and in a raw way that you're just like, okay, this guy is absolutely, or this lady is absolutely no
Yeah.
nonsense,
Yeah.
and they're speaking, and it may be true, it may not be true, it may be something you want to hear or not, but because it comes from a place of such authenticity, it at least for me personally, it draws me in to say, okay, let me watch this a
Let
little
me
bit
watch
longer
this. Yeah.
and see if I can follow this guy a little bit more. But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting thing. So the last thing I wanted to do is just kind of go over some of the stuff that you've done, because it's been really expansive. I mean, you've done a number of things. The Elder Scrolls Legend.
Yes, I love that one.
Okay, tell us about the Elder Scrolls Legend.
That was my first voiceover for video games that I've done. And it was so much fun. I recorded in the Mark Grau Studios, and if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm mistaken here, but I think Robin Williams recorded Aladdin there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, or maybe parts of Aladdin, I don't know, but it was so good to record. It was freeing. It was such a freeing experience. I wasn't supposed to know it was Skyrim. When I auditioned to it, they gave me like a fake name for it because it was such a like non-disclosure agreement. You cannot tell anybody until the game comes out. I'm like, cool, no worries.
I think a lot of people are under wraps before things have to come out like that. But yeah, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Now, is that one of the jobs that your agent ended up getting for you, or were you able to? This was pre-agent time.
Pre-agent.
Right.
I got that one myself. I auditioned for it, and they said, okay, it's like a. Can you speak with like an Arabic or Mediterranean accent? And I'm like, I can speak in my own accent. And they're like, yeah, that's perfect. So, okay, cool.
So what's your recommendation to actors and actresses, like before they have an agent? How do they get their jobs? And then how did you end up attaining the agent that you have now?
I basically called her every other week.
Your agent? Until she said, okay.
Until she said,
just so you stop calling me?
Just so you stop calling. No, I did not call her every week.
Okay.
Don't do that. I just did as many jobs as I could. I went on the all the websites and went to every casting call that I could have gotten my hands on.
Okay.
And at a certain, I did put my eyes on this specific agent because I had a feeling that she's the right one for me.
Okay. So this was an agent that you sought out.
Yes.
Okay. And then, how did that interaction come about? You introduced yourself, or did you show her the stuff that you've done? And then how did she end up taking you on?
So I sent her emails, and she at first she said, I don't think you're ready for me yet, but keep me updated. And I kept her updated, and after I invited her to a premiere for a short film that was kind of a proof of concept for a TV show that I developed, White Brick Road. She couldn't make it to the premiere, so I sent her the link, and she called me and she said this was really interesting. And we started talking about it, and 2 days later she said, hey, are you still looking for an agent? There's an audition for an Israeli part, and I think you're perfect for it.
Oh.
Based on what I saw that you just did with White Brick Road. And I'm like, oh, I would love that. We signed, and I didn't book that audition.
Well, I know I've taken up a lot of your time, and I just have two more questions, and then we'll wrap, I guess. But one was White Brick Road. Mm-hmm. You were both the actress and the creator and the writer for that particular show.
Yes.
And so how were you inspired to do that? What is White Brick Road about? And how did you come to writing it, creating it, completing it?
How did you... 2 questions. No, I'm kidding.
Those are all questions within the first question. I forgot to mention the line A, B, C, D part of it.
No, I'm kidding. I always wanted to do procedurals, procedures. How do you say that word now?
Procedural? Procedures?
Procedural, like the cop shows. Procedural? I said it right? Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Fix it in edit.
Yeah, fix it in post. So I always wanted to do procedurals, especially when it was if it has any type of superpower. Like, you know the TV show Fringe?
Fringe.
Really good TV show, Canadian.
Okay.
Or Jessica Jones.
Okay.
It was more Marvel, but there is this thing about solving cases, detective work, and she has superpowers. And I said, I really want to do something like that. So I wrote a character who's on the autism spectrum. She has Asperger syndrome, actually. And she basically becomes a police sketch artist that helps solve crime and, just being a procedural, trying to figure out what happened to her. There is a whole thing about her Asperger's turning from a disability to a special ability.
Okay.
Which I like the idea of turning someone's disadvantage to an advantage.
I love that too.
Yeah, so I said, that will be such a cool show. So I reached out to a friend of mine, Mateus. He helped me write it. So I wasn't the only one who wrote it. And we produced this trailer together.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to send me a link of all the things that we do. We'll have to put that down on that. But yeah, I love that concept of overcoming adversity. I actually do some consultation with a few clients that have difficult things going on in their life, and ironically, one of the things I tell them is you have to be the movie character of your own life.
Yeah.
And in every movie that you see, the character, is being introduced, and then some type of downfall or adversity hits them, and they recover and they come back stronger from that adversity, and everybody cheers them at the end.
Yeah.
And to the clients, I said, you just happen to be in this part of your movie. And your next stage is coming very soon. And so the last question, with maybe some sub questions underneath it, will be this.
I love how you're scared of it now. Sorry, I didn't mean to terrify you.
No. It's okay. Pressure is good. Stress is good. To the fellow actors and actresses that haven't reached where you are now, and they might be on the verge of quitting, or I guess, when is the right time to throw in a towel or to say, okay, I'm not going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there ever a right time for that? Or should you always pursue? One thing that I say to entrepreneurs that I coach is that if you cannot follow your own deadlines, then there needs to be a time where you need to reevaluate whether you should be doing A, B, C, or D or not.
Yeah.
So I don't ever like to say anybody that they should ever quit something.
Yeah.
But obviously in your line of work, it's a little bit different. So to those fellow actors and actresses that are starting to get into the business or a little bit frustrated and they want to quit, what would you say to them in terms of when is the right time to throw in the towel, and maybe when, or if there is ever one?
Oh, it's a really hard question, and it's so personal. I thought about throwing the towel many, many times, but I just couldn't. Every time I was this close, I was like, it's just not working out. It's just not clicking. And then something would pop in and lure me back in there. Or when I said to myself, okay, let me take a little breather from acting and focus on something else, I would book something, and it just kind of lured me back in. If you really did everything in your power, everything imaginable in your power, and you still didn't make it, and you're tired, and you want the comfortable 9-to-5 life, do it. And there's no shame. You can proudly say that you have tried. Not a lot of people can do that. But if you still feel like there is something else that you can do, another project, another production, maybe you can learn how to write. Like I learned how to write. I was a very bad writer. I learned how to edit. I learned how to score music because I didn't know it was available for free. But I'm still fighting my own demons and my own, my own little battles, but
Sure.
I'm not even close to done.
Yeah. Well, Roni, thank you so much for doing this interview. It's really a great honor for me, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
And then, of course, helping us understand a better path to where you are now.
Yeah,
So
thank
hopefully
you.
we'll get to do another one on your next maybe big thing that
Maybe
ends up
big
happening.
film.
Yeah, exactly. After the strike's over,
Yes.
we'll figure it all out. But again, I appreciate you so much, and thank you again for doing this.
Thank you.
All
It
right.
was so nice.
Cheers. All right, thank you again for joining us at the Baseline. And please like and subscribe to our channel and follow Roni Weissman. We're going to share all her links on this video, and we'll hope to see you again.
And
Unforgettable.
cut.